We know they're massively collecting food stamps, health care. It is 100%
Absolutely
true.
not true. The only thing you can say is maybe they're using health care. Yeah,
okay,
the health care, as far as emergency rooms, approximately is 0.09% of the entire health care budget.
Well, look who we have today. It's the impressive Ann Coulter on a panel or in a discussion with Hasan Piker, formerly of the Young Turks, and now has struck out on his own. As you probably know, Hasan Piker is, I believe, the nephew of Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks, and a notable progressive online, and, you know, just a guy who likes to show his face and pretend to be something or other online. I think he's a streamer of some sort. Anyway, he's useless. Ann Coulter has been at this for decades. Written lots of books. She's an arch conservative. Libtards and liberals and Democrats absolutely hate Ann Coulter. So I'm sure she's going to be triggering Hasan Piker here in this interview. Let's see what they have to talk about.
No, absolutely not. Also, what difference does it make whether we build a wall or not? These are legal asylum seekers coming in the caravan. It's not like these people are coming to cross the border or jump over the Mexican border. I feel like if they were trying to sneak into the country, they'd probably be doing a better job and not come in such high numbers coming in after escaping violence in their countries. And then
they're not asylum seekers. They're people who want to get out of their shithole countries, obviously. Can't blame them for that. Everybody would want to leave their crappy country if they lived in one. But they're absolutely not asylum seekers. And it doesn't matter whether they're coming legally or illegally. They just don't belong in the United States, and they really have nothing to offer the country.
On top of that, this notion that Ann is snuck in, they have welfare checks waiting for them at the border is also preposterous. It's proven over and over again that immigrants contribute far more than they take to the U.S. economy.
Oh, I love it when the libtards talk about this. Yes, they're our greatest strength. Now, back when the United States had a sensible, rational, logical immigration policy, yes, it would base its choice on who to let into the country on a few factors. You know, where are the immigrants from? What is the quality of the immigrants? How many of them are there? How well can they fit into the prevailing demographic structure of the United States? Before 1965, the U.S. had very rational immigration policies, focused pretty much exclusively on Europeans, with some exceptions from time to time. You know, but just poor people from banana republics, South American or Central American countries really don't have anything to offer. All they're going to do is clog up the emergency rooms, clog up the schools, undercut prices because they will work. Yeah, I'm not saying they're lazy people. There are lots of illegals in America who work very hard. But the fact is they do drive down wages. And all my libtard family, they always say the same thing. Yeah, but they do the jobs Americans won't do. You know, if all the illegal immigrants left tomorrow, you know, you wouldn't even have any tomatoes or lettuce, or your, you know, food would rot in the fields. You know, farmers would have nobody to pick it. Yeah, farmers couldn't hire anybody for $1 an hour or whatever they pay. They would have to pay higher wages. But isn't that what liberals want? Isn't that what progressives want? They want, you know, fair wages for fair work. But, of course, that doesn't make sense in the libtard mind.
And I think there was 1,436 economists from all different backgrounds that wrote an open letter to Donald Trump advising him that immigration is a net benefit. It's virtually every single economist agrees on this.
Again, depends who's immigrating.
Ann?
Well, none of these are asylum cases, or they'd stop in the first country they get to. The idea of asylum is something like there's a Holocaust, there's a potato famine. No, this is how these people always live, which is why all of different countries want to come to, the biggest welfare state in the world. That is the United States, and get welfare checks. And yeah, okay, you got economists to sign a letter. dumping poor people on America is not making us better. They are far more likely to be receiving welfare, and that's just your average illegal immigrant, and immigrant are way higher to be accepting government assistance than American.
How would they accept government assistance?
Applicants don't have to wait at all. They instantly get given food.
Yes, that's why there's all these non-governmental organizations, NGOs, who literally coach these caravans. There's plenty of evidence of this on the internet. They coach the people in the caravans. There's lawyers, what do they call them? Immigration lawyers, but sort of do-gooder, liberal, bleeding heart immigration lawyers coaching them what to say. They get to the border and they claim to be asylum seekers. The whole thing is ludicrous. They're absolutely not asylum seekers. Asylum seekers are people who are like Ann Coulter says, are fleeing war zones or some horrific, genocide or something like that. Those are asylum seekers. People who just want a better life for themselves because they live in a shitty banana republic. Sorry, they're not asylum seekers. Yeah, you can submit an application to immigrate from your country and get on the list with everybody else.
Housing, everything, but they aren't asylum cases. These aren't people fleeing one corrupt, I'm trying to kill you. Otherwise, they'd get to Mexico and say, "Phew, home free, I'm in Mexico." No, they want to come to the biggest welfare state in the world.
I mean, the American welfare state might be big in totality as far as our population goes, but it's definitely not as encompassing as plenty of other European nations. But that's besides the point. You mentioned welfare. Can you describe to me specifically how undocumented citizens take advantage of our robust welfare state?
They can't walk to Sweden. They can walk to this country.
No, but you're not answering my question.
They can also walk to Mexico, and they're not stopping there.
Okay, but you're not answering my question.
Well, you
if they're
say
coming
asylum.
To the US
Asylees are entitled to everything citizens are.
Oh, so now they're asylum seekers because previously you were using the perspective that they aren't asylum seekers.
No, I am saying they do not qualify. They should not qualify, but they are classified as asylees, as you say, and that's the whole panoply. In fact, they get more than citizens. They have housing built for them.
Undocumented citizens as a whole, because you...
What exactly is an undocumented citizen, Hasan? This sounds like yet another one of these libtard talking points where they say, "Oh, nobody's illegal." An undocumented citizen, that's just that's an oxymoron. It makes no sense. They're illegal aliens, undocumented people, undocumented aliens, whatever you want to call them. Illegals, I prefer, because that's what they are. But they're not undocumented citizens. They're citizens of their own country, and they're perfectly well documented there, and they can stay there.
You have such strong opinions on this, and look, you've been doing this for longer than I've been alive, so I would love to hear your perspective on exactly how undocumented citizens take advantage of our supposedly robust welfare state.
We know they're massively collecting food stamps, health care. It is 100%
absolutely not true. The only thing you can say is maybe they're using health care. Yeah.
They're absolutely using health care. The emergency rooms are clogged up with people who don't belong in the country, who go there to just get their free health care. That's what happens. They go to the emergency room. They say they don't have money or insurance, or they give a fake address or something. I mean, that's just what a lot of poor people do that in the States too, actual citizens. They then put their kids in school. In schools, the local schools get full up. So there's this demographic shift. There's this social tension with these new groups of kids who don't belong there and don't fit in. This has been going on for decades. And of course, it's getting worse and worse under the Democrats. Who want to flood the country with people who don't belong there. This is happening in Europe, too, where I live. It's outrageous. I mean, aren't the leaders of a country supposed to look after their own citizens first, not the citizens of other countries? Shouldn't they try to, instead of promoting social breakdowns, shouldn't they promote social cohesion by not mass importing people from third world countries? That's what I think.
Okay,
the healthcare, as far as emergency rooms, approximately is 0.09% of the entire healthcare budget.
Schools, English as a second language classes. All these schools across America. Oh, sorry, there's going to be no Christmas pageant this year. We had 16 English as a second language classes.
Are you making the assumption that Latin American countries are somehow not Christian and therefore don't want Christmas?
What does this have to do with?
What does that have to do with anything? That's just stupid. I actually know somebody very close, a very close friend, who is a teacher in a school near Washington, D.C., in an elementary school, which has basically been completely taken over by Guatemalans or Hondurans or some Central Americans. Yeah, it's just been, and they're all illegals, and they're so there's all these illegals who don't speak English. Their parents don't speak English. The school has to scramble to try and do something with all these kids. They've, I mean, completely taken it over. There are no Native Americans, indigenous European Americans or Black Americans in this school. It's all these illegals from Central America. They've brought gang culture with them. So the little ones aren't quite in gangs yet, but they're already being used by the gangs and will, of course, be inducted into the gangs, many of them, as they get older. It's just complete disaster. Completely upsets. It's like introducing an invasive species of fish into a pond or some invasive species of plant. This has happened many places in the world. The people in charge think, oh, I know, we've got a problem. There's too many of something, some sort of algae or something in a river or in a lake. And they say, this kind of fish loves eating algae. Let's put it in the lake. So they introduce the algae-eating fish into the lake, and the fish eats up all the algae, and then when it finishes doing that, it starts eating all the other fish, and it takes over. It becomes an invasive species. Well, the same thing happens with people. And, just like if you send, this happens everywhere on every continent, too. It's not just because they're brown people from Latin America and invading a white country. This happens in Africa. African countries, a lot of them are at war, have conflicts, and so there's mass migration of local populations into neighboring countries, and it causes social disruption, like serious social disruption and breakdown. So let me know what you guys think about all this. Immigration, mass migration, the whole immigration issue annoys me because it's not just people hate immigrants. It's this mass migration of unskilled people who do not belong, or people who are just radically different, from African or Asian countries to European countries. They just don't belong there. Just like I would be against mass migration of French or Europeans or whoever into Japan or China. Why would we want to upset their social fabric, upset their culture, upset their racial demographics? It's outrageous. Let me know what you think in the comments anyway. And in the meantime, please like and subscribe. It really helps me grow the channel and continue making content for you.